الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. قال سبحانه وتعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم كل نفس ذائقة الموت ثم إلينا ترجعون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in the Quran that every soul shall taste death. Now if the ayah had stopped at that, it just stopped. You live, you die, and that's it. That would be okay. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then tells us after that after thumma, after death, ilayna, back to us, tarji'un, you will all come back. Now that is a part of the ayah you need to think about. The kafir, he goes through life ignoring death. And then what happens? Death comes to you. And then he's not ready for it. And that's where the regret begins. Think of it this way. Imagine, may Allah protect you all, may Allah protect us. I'm from the West Coast, so I'm going to use us as an example. Let's say there's a tsunami coming to California. And it's going to have 60-foot waves. And it's going to wipe out the West Coast. May Allah protect us. Right? If we know about it, then what do we need to do? Prepare. Like if you're there at the beach and you see the water recede and you see this wall of water that's coming, and you see that water hitting the coast, houses disappearing, what are you going to do? Run? What else? Drive? Right? Jump on a flight?
Run for your life.
Run for your life? What if you're running, you see that tsunami, it's taking houses, like when as it's coming, 60 foot, the whole house is disappearing, everybody in it drowning, and you see somebody out there shooting dice. You know what shooting dice is? You guys shoot dice on the East Coast? Or is that a West Coast thing? You guys shoot dice? Well, it's haram, so don't do it. You see somebody shooting dice. And you're like, yo, what you doing, bro? You don't see a tsunami coming? He's like, whoa, I gotta spoil my game. I was about to get snake eyes. Or, I don't know. I never shoot dice. And he's like out shooting dice. And you're like, yo, tsunami coming, it's killing people. And he's like, yo, you see I'm doing something, man? What do you think about that person? Crazy. Lost in the head. Stupid. He's a moron. He's an idiot. Right? Like, be real. Right? But that's how we're living. We know death is coming. Allah has told us in the Quran death is coming. We see people dying. How many of you have been to a funeral? You never been to a funeral? Raise your hand, bro. What? You thought I was just going to skip over you? When I ask, and if I don't see you, I'm going to call on you. How many have been to a funeral? Raise your hand. Everybody here. You've seen somebody get buried. You've seen the janazah. Even if maybe you saw a non-Muslim, but you saw the funeral, you saw the promise of Allah that you will die in front of you. And then after that, you're like, I'm gonna sell rock on the street corners, I'm gonna go hustle, I gotta do this, and you're like, bro, what you doing? Death is coming. You're like, oh man, what? Don't you see I'm busy? You see, what leads to Islam is a simple logic. Simple. Back in the days, and Allah protect us all, I was raised away. When I came to the US, as many of you, I was a little kid in a bad neighborhood. If you think Bronx is bad, come. We got hoods, right? You got Crips and Bloods, we started them. Not something to be proud of, right? At that time, we got caught up. Nobody reminded us. The church didn't remind her. I didn't grow up with Muslims. You may look at me now, but I'm just being honest with you. I didn't grow up with Muslims. I had no Muslim friends growing up. I never went to the Masjid as a kid. I grew up with Mexicans. And not the good family type either. You had the barrios, gangsters, and cholos, and mafiosos, and cartels. And you would go to church, and it would just be a joke. I remember we'd be out Saturday nights doing whatever, and you know what gangsters do on Saturday night. And Sunday morning, early in the morning, we could be up till like 4 or 5 a.m. Early morning, we'd all be dressed up. Nice suit, good clean clothes. You get the abuela and the tia and the tio and uncles and grandmas and moms and pops, and you go to church. And I would go with them. I'd be like, what are we doing here? They'd be like, we're gonna take the communion. What's that? You're gonna go get on your knees and open your mouth like that. And some dude's gonna walk up on you like, no, man, I'm straight. And I ain't have no priest put nothing in my mouth. Right? And then they'd be like, you're gonna confess. Well, what's confession? Well, you walk into a little box. And there's a little grill. I remember it. And you'd be like, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. And then whatever you sin, I shot somebody yesterday, I stabbed somebody, we kidnapped a guy, he's in my trunk, whatever, sold a pound of this or that, whatever you did. And then some priests on the other side would be like, oh, that's bad, you gotta ask forgiveness and say these many Hail Marys and don't do it. And you would be like, Father, I'm just gonna be straight with you. I'm a gang member, that's what we do. So, I'm going to do it again. Like, I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it, to tell you. And he'd be like, I know. Well, say the Hail Marys, donate to the church, and we'll see you next week. And you'd get out of the confession box and be like, yeah, my sins are gone. Jesus died for my sins. I confessed. I'm good. Who are we going to shoot tonight? But in my heart, I knew it was wrong. I knew this was just scapegoating. Jesus died for your sins. Like, what do you mean? The perfect son. He was killed for the sins of you sinners. What? What do you mean? Well, people are sinners. Yes, true. So God sent his son to be killed so all of you can be saved. Wait. Take it back a step. So let's say I do something wrong, and I go to court. Like, yes! The preacher would be like, yes, you're getting it. All right. And I tell the judge, yeah, I shot this dude. I did it. I shot his friend, this, that. And the judge says, you're a murderer, you're a criminal, you robbed people. But I got this perfect son of mine who's like a perfect student, never disobeyed, good kid, never did anything wrong. So I'll tell you what. If you murderers get together and kill this guy, you're all free. What? That makes absolutely no sense. That's not mercy. That's not just. That doesn't make any sense. I remember being in church, Christian church. And there would be singing and jumping up and down and hallelujah and this and that. And while they were doing all that, nobody paid attention to the sermon or to the Bible or to the scripture except for me. I would be there paying attention to what the preacher was saying. And I would tell the preacher, like, are we born with sin? And then the preacher would be like, yes, every child's born with sin. Like a little baby, hasn't done anything, innocent, just a baby born, never made a decision, never made a choice, is sinful? And he'd be like, yes, but it's okay, because God sent his son to die, and that takes care of the sin. Like, what? Take it back a step. Explain it to me what I understand. So Adam, what did he do? What was his sin that made all of us be born sinful? What was that horrible sin? He ate from the tree. Some of the Christians say it's an apple. Right? Okay. How does him eating an apple affect us? Like, think about that. Let's say, may Allah protect you all, somebody goes and kills somebody in the Bronx. Can you put their children in jail? What about their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren? If some judge says, yo, this dude out here shot somebody, go arrest his son and his grandson and his wife and his nephew and his great-grandson, and anybody born in that family is all going to go to jail. Would that be just? That makes no sense. All right, how do you get rid of this original sin? Kill the judge's son? Well, not just kill him, the judge is like, yo, torture him first. Can't just kill this good kid. You got to put him on a cross and stab him. What? Shouldn't killing the Son of God be a bigger sin than eating an apple from a tree? I was like, I'm from the hood, explain it to me in my words. Let's say I go to a store and I steal a piece of candy. Should I do it? No, it's wrong. I got to pay for it, right? But I put it in my pocket, I walk out. I'm like, damn, that was wrong. I'm going to go apologize. I go back to the store owner. I'm like, look, my bad. I shouldn't have taken it. I want to repent. Adam, apple, tree, right? And the store owner says, yo, you stole a piece of candy. Not only am I going to put you in jail, I'm going to put cases against your kids and your grandkids, but if you kill my son, we're even Steven. Like, what? That makes no sense. That's not justice. That's not mercy. That's not even logical. So at that time, I realized, like, this isn't the way. So I started to search. When you're caught up, you're caught up. Right? One day, a close friend of mine got killed. Kind of a long story. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. I'm not going to get into the details. But he got killed. And he got killed in my place. Meaning I was supposed to be somewhere at a certain time. And there was a setup to kill me. But it ended up, qadr of Allah, that he went 9 bullets, 357 to the head, took his head off. I don't know if you ever seen anybody get shot, but it ain't like the movies. Movies do get shot, like in this little hole, and he's still going, like, and he's like, oh, mission impossible. Right? That's not how it is. You get shot with a 357, that exit hole will be like this, and take your head off. Right? So we went to bury him. It wasn't Muslim, it was Mexican, Catholic. And at that time, when we were putting him into the ground, I looked at him. And I saw that fear. And I saw that empty shell. And I was 18. And I started to think, what's the purpose of life? Why are we even here? Because we were told it was about making money. Gotta make that dough. No matter what you gotta do, man. Get that bread. Right? We were told it's all about having a lot of females. The words we used back then, I'm not gonna use, right? Starts with a B, right? It's all about fancy cars, lowriders, and rims, and having like wads of cash, and going out and making it rain. Well, he had all that. He was a leader in a gang, as was I. Same gang. He had money. Imagine at the time when I was 15, 16, you do a run, you make like 20 grand in a week. You can't put it in the bank, You can't go buy real estate with it. So you just waste it. Girls, power, walking to school and threaten your teachers, and now you don't go to class and get straight A's. That's not what I did, Yusuf. I studied, right? My son to get any ideas here. Huh? I remember we had a teacher and we were like, yo, you can't be talking to us like that. She kept talking. So we took a flare, road flare, we put it in the exhaust, Turn on that car after a while, boom! Yeah, never talked back to us again. Right? You had all of that. He had all of that. He had we had put our money together at that time. We had a 64 Impala, which was like the lowrider of the dreams over there with hydraulics and rims. And I didn't drive, he drove it. And at that time, I'm looking at his funeral, and none of that money he made went in with him. None of those girls that he was dating went into the qabr with him. Instead, I saw that day every single girlfriend he had, and he had a lot, crying on the shoulder of another man. Every penny he had was already taken by his brothers and others before he was put in the ground. Somebody else was driving his car. I went to his house that day. We used to have, what we call Ben Davises. There was these gangster jackets we used to wear. And that day his brothers were fighting. It's mine. Nah, I'm taking that. Same day he just died. So I realized money, fame, girls, power, all of that means nothing. In the end, you go in that grave and you don't know when that time will be. Shaitan tells you you're young. You're not going to die. That's something that 80-year-olds worry about. What you worried about? Your beard's not even white yet. You have a graveyard here in Bronx? You guys have a graveyard or no? Have any graveyard?
Yeah, Woodlawn.
We do have a graveyard.
Go there. On the graves, do they have the dates? For us in San Diego, the graves, they have dates on them. When the person was born, when the person died. So go to the grave and look at those dates. And you'll see that there are people younger than you. You will see the ages less than yours. Even if you're 10 years old, there are babies buried there. There are toddlers buried there. There are children buried there. There are teenagers buried there. There are young men, young women buried there, younger than you, same age as you. So when Shaitan tries to tell you that don't worry, you got a long life to live, go and remind yourself that you never know when death is going to come. And when you don't know, then you need to be prepared. You need to be ready. You need to check your iman. Because if death comes, it comes without warning. Malik al-Maut, he's not going to ask you, excuse me, sir, you have time this week, can I make an appointment with you? Now he comes, your schedule becomes empty. So when we realize that, when we realize that there is a guarantee that we will die, and that guarantee is in the Quran, and that guarantee has come true in front of our eyes. When all of you raised your hands, you've been to a funeral. That guarantee came true in front of you, and you are putting your hopes on the next 5-year plan and 10-year plan and 20-year plan, and you have no guarantee you will live to see tomorrow. So what should you do? Give up your job? Go out and just live in the mountains and make dhikr? No, that's not the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he showed us a perfect example. Priests, they don't marry. They don't get married. Nuns, they don't get married. But that's not natural. That's why the Catholic Church gets into the trouble they get into. You know what I mean? Because they go against the way of fitrah. The way of fitrah is you get married, you have children, you work. The Sahaba, they worked. They were married, they had children. But they didn't forget the purpose of their life. They didn't forget the goal of the akhirah. They used the dunya to gain the akhirah. When it was time to donate, they didn't think, okay, I gotta pay for this first and that, and I have a camel, but let me get a second and a third. And I got a horse, but then again, I might need a backup horse. Now I got a few clothes, but they're getting out of style nowadays. My na'alain, my shoes are kind of, not the fad now. No. Uthman radiallahu anhu, he came with so much that he equipped the army in Tabuk with so much that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said he's earned Jannah. Umar radiallahu anhu, when it came time to give, he said, whatever I have, I'll cut it in half. Not like my extra money. That's how we deal today, right? I got a bank account, and then I got a second bank, and then my additional savings, I'll take like a little 1/10%, and I'll give it to the masjid, and I'll be like, yeah, bro, I donated, It's a big favor, I put my name on there, brother. Don't worry, man, Allah writes the names. Don't worry, Allah knows who's malaika writing. You don't have to worry about it. Umar radiyan took everything, made it half. Not just his wealth. His camel, his horses, his wealth, dinar, dirham, possessions, carpet, whatever else, whatever, cut it in half, give half to the cause of Allah. Imagine that. Think about yourself. You got 4 pairs of shoes on. It's in New York. You got like 6, 7, 8, what? Right? You give half of those. You got 4 watches, you give 2 of those. You got 10,000 in the bank, you give 5 grand. You got 20 bucks in your pocket, you put 10 of that. You got 20 thobes, you give 10 of those. Like imagine half of everything. And when he brought it in the masjid, he saw Abu Bakr radiyan's stack, and he saw his stack, and his stack was higher. And he felt, alhamdulillah, today, they didn't race in dunya like, yo, what kind of kicks you got on, They raced for the akhirah. How much did you give? I want to give more. Not for show, but for the akhirah. So today, he said, Abu Bakr always gets ahead of me, but today, I'm going to beat him. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Umar, what did you leave at home? He said, O Messenger of Allah, half. Half of everything present. Then he turns to Abu Bakr. Physically, the things are less. He said, what did you leave at home? He said, Allah and His Messenger. What? Left nothing at home. Imagine the iman of his wife. Imagine if your husband's like, every penny we have, our furniture, our clothing, everything I'm going to give to the masjid. I'm going to give. Well, I used to be like, man, I better get that talaq going now, man. How does khula work? Sheikh, my husband lost it. That was the iman of the sahabiyat. Abu Bakr radiyan, when he made hijrah, his father was not Muslim. Abu Quhafa, you know his name? Abu Quhafa? What's his name though? That's the kunya. His name is Uthman actually. His kunya is Abu Quhafa. Not Uthman ibn Affan, but his name is also Uthman, the father of Abu Bakr radiyan. His kunya is Abu Quhafa. He was not Muslim at the time, and he was blind. He was old. And he came to the house, and he was talking to the daughter of Abu Bakr radiyan anhu, Asma. And he said, your father left, and he didn't leave anything with you guys? So she took some rocks and put them in a bag and said, look, there's the wealth here. So, because he was blind, he touched it. All right, feels heavy. All right, he's cool then. But the reality is, he didn't leave anything. But the iman of his daughter was such that not only did she not complain, but she even covered for him. This is the iman of the Sahaba. Why we love the Salaf al-Salihin. Why we love the Sahaba and look up to them. Look at the sacrifices they made. So here, Abu Bakr radiyan, when he's asked in Tabuk, what did you leave at home? He said, Allah and His Messenger, everything I have is here. Umar radiyan said, I can't compete with this man. Amazing. Yeah. Those Sahaba, they sacrificed. They tied rocks to their bellies, as did the Prophet ﷺ from hunger. Imagine, he'd be like, man, I'm starving, I'm dying, but you're not really starving. You may be hungry, but bro, you ain't dying. Imagine you're so hungry you fall over from it. Imagine you're that hungry that physically you need the weight to keep you straight. That's a sacrifice. But what happened? History tells us Allah made them conquerors of continents. From Europe, in the time of Sahaba, they'd already conquered parts of Europe, to Asia, Arabian Peninsula, to parts of Africa. In the time Amr bin As in Egypt, Sa'd bin Waqqas radiyan, he went all the way to China to give da'wah. You go to Afghanistan, you find graves of Sahaba. You go to Quds, you find graves of Sahaba. You go to Turkey, you find graves of Sahaba. You go to Egypt, you find graves of Sahaba. Allah gave them victories against the superpowers, not just one superpower. They took on both at the same time. The Persians and Romans, Allah destroyed them. Their treasures were at the feet of Sahaba. Allah honored them, gave them izzah. And at that time, Umar radiyanhu, in his khilafah, when Allah opened Al-Quds, may Allah free it today. Say Ameen. Man, you guys are weak. You guys worried about some lobbies out here? I know you guys are close to Manhattan, but take it easy. Right? Quds, that belongs to the Muslims. Allah opened it without fighting. In the time of Umar radiyan, as he's going to take the keys that they were willingly about to give, he's with his servant, and he tells his servant, like, we got one camel. Imagine that, Khalifa, Amir al-Mu'mineen, just got one camel. No security detail, no, nothing. Sleeps in Medina on the street, just relax. He's going, he tells the servant, let's be fair. Half the time you ride, half the time I ride. He's not like, I'm the Amir al-Mu'mineen, what are you talking about? Man, get down. How dare you? You know who I am? I know who you are. Nobody. You're going, and he's taking turns. And when he gets there, it's the servant's turn to be up. So Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Khalifa of the Muslims, about to take Quds, and he's walking barefoot, shoes over his shoulder. According to some of the historic reports, 16 patches in his clothes. The servant's on the camel, he's got the reins, he's walking with him. Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah is like, what are you doing, Umar? Put us to shame, you're gonna make us look bad, bro. Translating here. Dress a little nice, man. You got some threads on. What are you doing? You gotta represent us. And tells him, look, if you weren't such an honored Sahabi, I'd give you a punishment. I'd teach you a lesson. Took dirt, threw it on him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us izzah through Islam. We were in dhillah, we were in disgrace. Arab were nothing. They didn't own warriors, they didn't have a king, they didn't have a kingdom, they didn't have math, they didn't have science, they didn't have philosophy. The Indians and Hindus were good in math, the Greek were philosophers, the Chinese came with gunpowder. Arabs were in the desert. They could rhyme a little bit, freestyle. That's about it. Right? He said Allah gave the Arab izzah from what? La ilaha illallah. Islam is what gave us izzah. We were in dhillah, Islam gave us izzah. If we try to find that izzah anywhere else, and other than Islam, nationalism, pan-Arab nationalism, the 6-day war, how'd it go? I'm Arab, great. I'm Qurashi, Wonderful. I'm Ahlul Bayt. Great. So was Abu Lahab. Didn't do him much good. Let's see how your iman is. If you got iman, then Bilal and Khubbab and Salman al-Farisi are closer to the Prophet ﷺ than Abu Lahab. So here, Ammar radiyan told him, if we try to get izzah from anything other than Islam, I'm from Silat, I'm from whatever, Punjab, I'm from this, I'm from that, whatever you want to think, then Allah will give us dhillah again. And that's what happened to us. We started being Arabs and started being Arumu first and all this nonsense. We need an American Islam. What? Didn't know Islam came in flavors. I'll take the Chinese. I don't know, man. I like Chinese. It's come with some wontons or something. There, we, my brothers and sisters in Islam, have to recognize the purpose of our creation. We didn't come here to be rich. We didn't come here. Inshallah, Allah will make you rich. When you're on the deen, Allah will give you wealth. When you're on the haqq, Allah will give you nusrah. Allah gave the Sahaba wealth. Allah gave the Sahaba power. Allah gave them government. Allah gave them all of that. But they weren't looking for that. They were looking for the pleasure of Allah. And when you leave the pleasure of Allah, then you will run around in whatever circle you want to run around in, you will not get more than your rizq. You know the example when Sheikh he gave, the rizq is from Allah. Your rizq is written. You know, like when you go out to a farm, I know you don't have farms in Bronx, maybe you go upstate New York or something, right? And you see chicken. You can take the chicken feed and just put it in front of the chicken, it can just eat it. Easy. Or you can throw it and that chicken's got to run around the whole day and try to find it. The same with rizq. Allah can make your rizq easy. It will come to you. You will have the barakah and you'll be doing the service for the deen. Or you can forget the deen and you'll get the same rizq, but you'll be like, man, I've been driving 23 hours and my Uber's still not making the cut, and I'm also doing Amazon deliveries, and I'm also doing a pizza delivery on the side, and I'm also doing this. You know, subhanAllah. We had a brother in San Diego, Pakistani. And he was in Pakistan, Karachi or Lahore or something. He was like, I'm sick of eating the food here, man. I'm broke. All I eat is rice and dal, chawal and dal, you know. Rice and lentils. He's like, I'm sick of this lentil. I want to eat meat. I'm going to go to America. And he got on the Merchant Marines and he snuck out and he swam and he did all this stuff and illegally laid in the US and then worked really hard and became a citizen and drove taxi and opened up businesses and had a shop and ran around, had a job, and he worked and worked and worked. Didn't care about food or rest, or didn't pray Jum'ah, didn't pray Salah, didn't go for Eid. He told me this himself. How I met him, there was an old people's home, you know, the retirement or hospice. They call it, there's a Muslim guy. We're at the Masjid at the time. He goes, all right, let's go see him. Visit our Muslim brother for the sake of Allah. Went to go see him and he told me this, he was crying. He said, I was hustling, you know, I had these kids from this kafir woman or whatever. But I was like, I had to do it to get the citizenship, and then I was like stuck, and I was like, I gotta make money. Heart attack. Got bedridden. And he said, I was in the hospital and they brought me food. And it was rice and dal. Boiled rice and lentils. He's like, I want some meat. They're like, nah, you got a heart condition, bro. You can't have no meat. Same thing was written for him. Kids ruined. All that money he saved up, all that, he was rich. All that money, his kids took it and just wasted it on drugs and alcohol and parties. Blew it. Think about it. Some of you are new in the US. Some of you are from here. Some of you are reverts. Some of you are born Muslims. Whatever background you may be from, think about the purpose of life. Think about what you're doing. Think about our example the Prophet ﷺ. Think about the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. Think about the situation of the Ummah. Don't just sit around, we're going to protest. I saw a protest the other day. Palestine. Big flags. Protest, protest. How long have you been protesting? Using Weinstein and Goldberg is like, oh my God, they got flags. Never mind. You can have Palestine back. You know, we were going to keep it, but then we saw you in front of Times Square, so never mind. Khalas. How long people have been protesting for Tibet? You know, movie stars and famous people, free Tibet. You know, China's like, that's funny. Dalai Lama trying to put his tongue anyway. So all of that doesn't matter. Quwwah, strength. That's what people understand. Straight. That's how you're gonna have to do it. Wake up the ummah. You go there like Umar, like Khalid bin Walid. That's when people listen. Sahaba didn't go to Faras and just put up signs, hey, Persians, please give us Persian. It's not the way it works. But you want to fight, somebody's like, let's go fight, man. Where were you at Fajr? I couldn't wake up for Fajr. You can't beat the bed sheets and you want to go beat the Yahud, man. Nah, bro, it's not the way it works. This is just a reminder for myself and my brothers and sisters in Islam. We have to go back to the Quran. We have to go back to the Sunnah. We have to go back to the way of the Salaf al-Ummah. We have to go and look in the Seerah. We have to go look in the lives of Sahaba and see what were the success factors and bring those into our life. As Imam Malik, he said that the end of the Ummah, the later part of the Ummah will not be rectified except what rectified the early part. So if they want to be correct, they have to go look at the Salaf al-Salihin. We have to correct our intentions, our purpose. When we become representatives of Islam in our actions, we can't have a brother in beard selling crack. It doesn't work. You can't have a sister in niqab cussing like that. That's not the point. Like, you're missing it. You can't wrap a cloth on your head with tight jeans and say you wear hijab. That's not what hijab means. Hijab doesn't mean cloth on your head. That would at best be called a khimar. You can't be texting a dude and then be like, I'm in hijab. No, we have to correct ourselves. And we have to involve ourselves in da'wah. We have to be that link of people to find their creator, to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm saying practical steps. I just wanted to come and give a talk and you're like, oh, it was great, or no, it sucked. Doesn't matter, but that's not the point. The point is, let's make a change in our lives. Today, think, what am I doing that's haram? And from today's reminder that Allah blessed me to sit in, I'm going to leave it. Think, what am I not doing for the deen? What amr of Allah am I not following? What sunnah am I not following? And from this talk today, Monday night, how can I bring it into my life? Think, what are we doing to represent a good example of Islam to the Bronx and to Brooklyn and to Queens and Staten Island and I don't know which borough I missed, but whatever. Manhattan, that's a borough? All right. Coney Island, I don't know. How are we going to bring Islam to these people? If not, you see these people, they're going to go to hell. And on the day of judgment, they're going to grab you. They're going to be like, we lived next to you. I played soccer. I don't know if you guys play soccer out here. I played football and basketball with you. I went to school with you. I worked with you. I shopped in your store. Why don't you talk to me? They're going to ask you. I had a brother, I'm going to end with this. It's a long story, it's on YouTube too, but I'm just going to mention one part of it. He was Jewish. And he had a big Star of David tattooed on his back, huge. He was a professional skateboarder. Ended up becoming Muslim. one of the things he told me which stuck with me is, when we have anything, any product that's beneficial in the West, we take it to every Muslim country. You go to, pick a country, you go to Somalia, you go to Ethiopia, you go to Pakistan, Senegal, you go to Saudi, you go to Turkey, which Muslim country have you been to that doesn't have a cell phone? Like everybody's got, I was in Pakistan, this dude had like cow dung. Like they're farmers, right? So they got dung, like cow dung on a cart with a donkey. And he's like, yo, can you dial this number? Because he doesn't know how to read or write. You dial the number and he's like, yo, I got the dung, where do I leave it, right? He's on a cell phone though, right? He doesn't even know numbers. He's like, can you dial this number for me? I'm like, all right, go for it, bro. Right? Which country have you been to that doesn't have Pepsi and Coke? Which country have you been to that doesn't have laptops, computers, cars, planes? These are Western inventions. But they got them there. But that brother said, he goes, but you as Muslims have the most valuable thing. More valuable than any of that. You know the purpose of life. Why don't you take it to the people? You're harming them by not telling them what's right. By not telling them why they exist. Why were they born? Where are they going? You know all that. Share it. Don't worry about fitting in. Worry about fitting them in to Jannah. So with this, inshallah, I'll conclude and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those that benefit from what we hear, that practice on what we hear, that take this as implementation. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told us, al-ilm ilman. Knowledge is two knowledge. Al-ilm fil qalb. There is a knowledge that's in the heart, yani in action. فَذَاكَ عِلْمٌ نَافِعٌ. And that is the beneficial knowledge. وَالْعِلْمُ عَلَى اللِّسَانِ. And there is a knowledge that's just on the tongue. Some people are very eloquent. It's just on the tongue. وَذَاكَ حُجَّةَ اللَّهِ. That will be the evidence of Allah على ابن آدم, upon the children of Adam. أخرج Imam al-Tirmidhi wa hadith Hasan. So this is a reminder, when you hear knowledge, practice it. Practice it. Put it into action. So inshallah, we'll end and open up for questions and answers, inshallah.